guys, it's Lanikia, and I am coming to you with season 2, episode 2 of Good Girls called, well, the episode is called Slow Down, Children at Play. So we start this episode off with Beth, Ruby, and Annie, and they're going over what they are going to do because last episode Rio gave Beth a gun. So now they're trying to figure out like how they're gonna get rid of Boomer. Like, are they gonna go on the dark web and do it? Are they gonna hire someone? How this is all gonna go down? What day is a good day for them? And all of that information. So they're just trying to figure it out. So then we move on to the next scene, and it's Nancy and Annie. Annie is at Nancy's house. Nancy and Greg's house, and she's trying to pick up Sadie, and Nancy is having all this small talk because she doesn't realize that anything is going on between Greg and Annie. She thinks Annie is just Greg's child's mother to say, just a mother to Sadie. So she's having all this small talk about being pregnant and everything because she's excited and everything, and plus she feels like that she and Annie have something in common because they're the only two people in the world that can say they got pregnant by Greg at this point. So then Greg comes in and he's asking Annie, did she find out about, did she get his message? And it's about Sadie wanting to quit piano. And Greg is like, just because things get hard doesn't mean you should quit on them. And Annie's like, I think you should. And I guess they're having like a little private conversation or whatever. So then, Nancy invites Annie to her baby shower, and Annie really doesn't want to go because, she's been sleeping with Greg. But Nancy tries to tell Greg to talk her into it. He gives like a half attempt to try to do it. But so anyways, Nancy pretty much forces Annie to agree that she would come. And and she's like, Sadie, come on. Like Annie's like, Sadie, come on down. So it was a cute little scene as far as her trying to get away from Nancy. Okay, so then we go to Ruby and Stan. So they go and see the pastor, and the pastor tells them he knows they've been through a lot and how are they doing. And so they imply, they don't say it, but they kind of imply that Ruby had an affair. So the pastor thinks she's been unfaithful or whatever. And Stan is he's still upset about her lying to him, and he's just like, I don't know who I married, I don't know who you are when I look at you. So, and then he gets up and leaves, and the pastor asks Ruby, is the affair and everything over? She's like, yes, even though y'all know, Rio won't let it go because Beth won't let it go. But anyway, so she and the pastor talk, and he says, God will forgive you. God forgives you, and so will Stan, because they have a strong marriage right now, but Stan is just upset with her. And Ruby feels bad because she's like, she knows she caused that distance between them, and she just doesn't know how to fix it. So Beth is picking up her son from her children from school, and she's trying to get her son to scouts or something. But Rio jumps in the vehicle with her as she's in the pickup line. You know how you have to wait to get your children. Excuse me. Rio jumps in the pickup line, and he pretty much tells her, kill Boomer tonight. That's really what that whole scene was about. He was like, how are you gonna do it? He just wants her to kill Boomer tonight because Boomer has a disposition in the morning. So he was like, you need to take care of him, as soon as possible. So that's what that scene was. Oh my gosh. So then we see Boomer with Mary Pat, and they're in the living room and everything, and it's the kids, and Boomer's watching the game, eating popcorn and drinking and stuff. He's living this fantasy life that he's built up, and Mary Pat is just sitting over there miserable, and her kids are like, they're wanting to watch TV, and Boomer's like, your daddy's watching the game, it's playoffs, or listen to your daddy or something. And so Mary Pat, her son was like, Mom, she was like, listen to your daddy or whatever. And Boomer just wants to come. I don't know what he's doing. He just wants to come in and have this make-believe family and I don't know, it's just crazy. Anyways, Boomer gets a text, and he tells him, lucky night, you can watch the Minions because I have to go and take care of something. So the next scene we see Boomer go out into the woods, and he goes and he's looking for Jimmy. So he's calling Jimmy, and he's like, where is he? I guess they were supposed to meet. And did anybody else wonder, like, if he was thinking it was Jimmy, how did he get that number? Or did anybody else wonder like what contact information that they have to make him think that that was Jimmy trying to tell him to come out into the woods? I did. I was just like, that's weird. Because sometimes I think TV shows like they just jump over stuff like and go straight into another scene, and I don't know, they forget that we think about the logics of it as well. So anyways, the Jimmy is not there to meet Boomer, but Annie, Beth, and Elizabeth. No, Annie, Beth, and Ruby are. So they tell him to turn around. They tell him to get on his knees. And Beth cannot do it. She cannot shoot Boomer. And Annie's just like, shoot him, shoot him. He's a rapist. He's gonna shoot him because it's better for him to be dead. He's a rapist. He's going to turn us in. Like, he's going to turn us in and everything. And she just cannot do it. And so Annie tries to get Ruby to talk Beth into it, and Ruby can't do it because she doesn't want that on her conscience either. So she can't tell her not to do it, but she can't tell her to do it as well. So then Boomer realizes, well, ain't nobody gonna kill me, because he was crying at first, y'all. But y'all saw it. So, but then he realizes, no one's gonna kill me. Okay. So he gets up and everything, and then that's the part where Beth starts telling him stuff like, which Annie told her don't talk to him, but Beth started telling him like, go away. If it's not us, it's gonna be someone from the gang. Like, you're trying to testify against them. And she tells him how much. Everyone has a price, and he tells her he'll take 20,000. And she said, okay, we'll give you 20,000, and you go away and you disappear. And so they're like, okay. And so Annie is like, second time, because this is the second time Beth could not shoot someone that was supposed to be shot. Like, you couldn't shoot Rio, who technically he was doing all this horrible stuff to y'all, but you couldn't shoot him. Here's Boomer, another person who's doing all this terrible stuff. You can't shoot him. But like, don't be in this life. I mean, don't be in that lifestyle if you can't do it, is pretty much what Annie was saying. So I don't know, y'all. That's what that is. So Beth sells the fridge. Like, they're selling stuff. So Beth is selling stuff to try to get the 20,000. And Dean is like, what's going on? And she's telling Dean that it's to keep them from going under. She's like, your medical bills and yada yada yada, and that's why she's having to do it. But really, they're trying to get money from Boomer. And then Ruby forges Stan's signature on a quick loan, like one of those quick loan cash things. She forges his signature on there, which she's already going through stuff with her marriage. Like, because really, Ruby is the one who has, as far as the marriage and everything, more to lose, because Annie wasn't really with Greg. Because he has a wife and everything. Beth and her husband was cheating on her. But Ruby and Stan's relationship was solid. Like, they had no issues before they started all this. So that's so she's forging signatures. So she's still lying to Stan. She's still having to do stuff behind his back. So although to me, it's like, because it took her a while to go in there, and it took her a while to forge his signature. So although she's doing all of this, it's like she understands she's digging herself deeper and deeper into this hole. So then they all come together to give money. And of course they're short. Like, that wasn't enough. Selling the fridge and getting a payday loan and all that's not enough money. So they're like 16,000 short. So they so then we see Jimmy goes to Mary Pat's house, and he's looking for Leslie, and she's telling him that Leslie isn't there. And then when he tells her who he is, she's like, oh, he's right here. So he's like, Leslie, what happened? Because you didn't show up to this position. And Leslie didn't show up because he's getting that money. Excuse me. So they're like, so he's like, what happened? Did they get to you? Are they shaking you down? What's going on? Sorry about that, y'all. And he's like, no, everything's cool. I just got cold feet. I'll be there. And Jimmy was like, are you sure? Because we can get you protection and all that. And he was like, no, everything's cool. It's all good. So they let that go. So then we go to Annie, who is in the party, who's at the party with with Nancy and Greg. It's their baby shower, because she left the scene earlier when the girls had met up or whatever, and they were just pretty much meeting up, saying they were short, and Annie just left us. So that's how that scene ended. So now she's at the party, the baby shower, and they're trying to find out what they're having, and they cut the cake and it's marble. So they don't know what they're having, because you know how they were having a gender reveal, and Nancy was like, oh my gosh, party wasted, what a waste of time or whatever. And then, excuse me, Annie starts looking around, because she talks to this woman, and the woman is like, would you get her a bottle? And Annie's like, a bottle of wine. And the woman got her some kind of gift and she was like, what is that? Annie was like, doesn't that cost like $1,000 or something like that? And the woman was like, no, that's I got it a good one, not the cheap one. And so then Annie starts realizing these people are rich, because she starts looking around, and she sees earrings, diamonds, and all of the expensive. So she decides to go and ruffle, is it rough? It's not ruffle. Anyways, she decides to go and search through their purses, thinking they're going to have a lot of cash, which I don't know why people think people carry a lot of cash on them nowadays, because they don't. Most people carry credit cards. Everything is so electronic now that you don't have to have cash and everything on you. So, but anyway, she tries to go, and as she's doing it, Greg comes in, and he's like, what are you doing in someone else's purse? And she pulls out a tampon and like that. And they talk, and she pretty much tells him, it's over. Like, you're having a family. This can't go on or whatever. And I will say, Annie pretty much has been consistent with that. Whereas Greg wants to just leave Nancy and be with Annie. Annie had, even though she was wrong sleeping with him and everything, but she has tried to tell him, like, let it go. But, it is what it is. Okay, so then, let's see where we are now. So then Beth and Ruby are outside, and Annie comes up to them, and she gives them the keys to a Tesla. And she's like, I stole a Tesla. Like, you're going to steal the Tesla, Beth. And Beth was like, I'm not going to steal a Tesla. And she's like, yes, you are, because we would not be in a predicament on having to get more money for Boomer had you just shot him, because I would have just shot him, but you didn't want to give me the gun. And so Ruby tells her to steal it. She was like, you need to steal this Tesla. So Beth gets out, and she steals the Tesla. So then we go to the scene where Beth comes in, and Dean's trying to get some orange juice and everything, and he's frustrated because he knows that Beth is lying to him about not dealing with Rio. Like, because he asked her early in the earlier scene where she tells him it's because of his medicine and the finances and his medical bills. He asked her in that scene, was it because of Rio that she's having to sell all this stuff? And she told him no. She said she hasn't talked to him. I don't know why she's lying. I guess because Dean got shot and she feels bad. But so then Dean tells her, he's like, I know you're lying. You're still talking to him, and you can't stay away from him for some reason. He's threatened our family. He shot me. You're doing all this shady stuff, but you can't stay away from him and everything. And so he just gets a moment of frustration. And anyway, she ends up asking him, how do I sell a Tesla? And he's like, you can't sell a Tesla for parts because it's like an iPad. And was anybody else thinking, well, where'd she drive it? Did she drive that Tesla home? Because I don't know, y'all. Maybe I'm getting too deep into it. But anyways, so Dean told her next time ask about a Honda. Get a Honda or something like that. So anyway, so Beth, so then after that scene, Annie goes back to the party, and she's looking for like tequila or vodka or something like that. And Nancy is in the the wine bar area in their home, and she's crying because she says she doesn't think Greg wants the baby, and it's like he's there, but physically he is with her, but mentally, emotionally, he's not the same. He's not there, and she doesn't think he wants the baby. And Annie tries to comfort her, and she's like, you want me to get Greg? You want me to get one of the ladies? And she's like, those aren't my friends. So her and Annie bond, even though Annie does the worst. She always bonds with people that she should not bond with. Like, she did it with Boomer's grandmother. Now she's doing this with Nancy. Like, stop bonding with people or finding a connection with someone when you know you're doing them dirty on the side. Like, stop it. But anyways, so then we see go to so after that scene, because that's pretty much that scene, them bonding. So after that scene, Beth and Ruby are on a bench and they're talking, and Ruby asks Beth, does Dean look at you the same, or how's things with Dean? Does he see you the same? And Beth tells her that no, she said, but honestly, she never looked at Dean the way Ruby looks at Stan, and she was just pretty much telling her we didn't have that kind of love. Like, you and Stan really have love, and sometimes that is what it is. Like, you realize when you look at another couple and you see how much they love each other and how they support and they're there, and you see their relationship dynamic, you realize, oh, I didn't have that or whatever. So I guess that's what Beth was saying. So then the parking attendant comes up to them because I guess he remembers them driving the Tesla. And I was like, why? Okay, I understand why they traded it out, but who's gonna forget that you, like, I was talking to these two girls and these two women and almost gave them a Tesla because I thought they came in with a Tesla. Like, all that stuff can be traced, but I guess this is just a little thing with the Tesla and it's not gonna be brought up again. But so they tell him, yeah, we'll take the Tesla, and they were joking like, that's not our car or whatever. So then they tell him about the Honda that they want. So they get a Honda instead so they can sell that for parts. So Ruby comes in. Okay, so they give Boomer. Okay, so then the next scene is them getting together and they're giving Boomer half the money. And they say that he gets the other half when he goes out of town. Like, when he's out of town, he'll just get a P.O. box set up and everything, and he'll get the other half of the money. And they were like, disappear, because if we don't kill you, somebody will. They warned him. But he was like, yeah. So then we see that where they leaves the okay, so then we see Ruby comes in and gets mad because Stan is going back to the couch, and she's pretty much like, I didn't cheat, you didn't cheat, so couches are for people who cheated. And he's still upset with her or whatever, and she just, like, that's my favorite scene where she just tells him, like, listen, I did it for our daughter. She needed a kidney. We didn't have the money because they did not have the money. And so they had to do that job. That was one of the reasons why they did the job in the first place. Because Ruby had to have that money for the transplant and for the medicines and to get Sarah in a better hospital and with better people and doctors and everything. And she was like, I'm that chick who, you know, put her family first. Nice to know you. And she told him, you're welcome. And I was like, yes, I love Ruby's character. Like, I can't think of her name who plays Ruby, but she's really doing a great job because she's funny, but she's also, I think I said this on the last video, but that's because she does a really great job of playing this character, making her funny and relatable. Oh yeah, sorry y'all, I went washing today, so I had to put my pillows. Making her funny and relatable, but also making her like where you can see how much she loves her family, and in desperation you almost root for her to get away with the stuff she does. But anyways, so then Boomer goes to see his Nana, and he's trying to like give her this new phone because he realizes that he's gonna have, because Boomer was gonna go away. He was going to go away, so he's trying to give his Nana the phone because he's trying to tell her, like, if I'm not here, this is a way we'll be able to stay connected. And she said that the other woman had her phone for a week and then she died. And I guess Boomer started thinking about, like, what if his Nana dies and he's not there? And you could just see him starting to not really want to go, not really want to leave the country. So then Dean goes to work. He's not 100%. I don't know why he went to work. Well, I guess he went to work to try to help the family financially. So Dean goes to work. Rio visits Beth at her kids' swim meet. My gosh. he asks Beth, did she do it? And she gives this long, elaborate story about how they did it, how she Googled quickest way to kill somebody, or let's miss how she had like what is it? Paint the you know how you put the when you paint a room and you put all of the plastic down so it won't be messed. Look, Beth did this elaborate story. Rio looks in the bag and he was like, I wish it was the truth, but it's a lie because you can't kill someone if you don't use a bullet. And then he gets up and leaves, and I'm like, Beth, my gosh, like like the story was good. It was a good story until she could have just told him, like, I can't. Well, I mean, he was gonna figure out she didn't do it anyways, but she went and told this big elaborate lie. So then we see that Dean collapses on the floor at work. He's trying to sell the vet, and he collapses on the floor at work because I guess he's aggravated his body, like he's not healed, and he's trying to work. So Annie talks to Mary. So Annie is at work. The next scene is Annie at work, and Annie is checking someone out, and she sees Mary Pat over there eating cake, and she's like, what's with that pity party? Because she did look sad. She did. And the security guard told her she's getting married, and people are thinking that Boomer got her pregnant, and that's why she's marrying him. So Annie is like, well, let me go find out what's going on. So she goes over to Mary Pat, and Mary Pat is like, she's picking out, Boomer's talking to the FBI, so she's forced to do all of this. And Annie is like, don't worry about it, girl. Like, he's not talking to the FBI. He's probably in Canada because, he's in Canada or Mexico. And she said, and Mary Pat is like, no, he's not. We just booked our reception hall like half an hour ago. And Annie was like, oh, let me guess, he booked in cash. And so that's when she realizes Boomer did not leave the country like he said he would. So Dean and Beth picks up Dean. Sorry, y'all. I'm reading my notes and my handwriting's a little bit sloppy. So Beth picks up Dean, and they're going home, and they almost get hit because that stop sign is still down. So they almost get hit. And Dean is like, nobody's ever gonna fix it. It's never gonna get fixed. No, I've been called, because Dean has been calling. He's been calling, trying to get it worked on and everything, but they can't get it fixed. Excuse me. So then the next scene we see is when Boomer makes Carl mad. Carl is, I guess, the butcher at the store that Boomer manages. And he's cutting meat, and he tells Carl. Now, the story that Boomer told was messed up. He was like, remember when I told you you couldn't have off? I made you work overtime because I told you couldn't have off for an event for your kid. And then I didn't pay you overtime because somebody left the freezer open. And I guess he blamed it on Carl. So instead of paying him overtime, he deducted from his check, which was a messed up story. And he was like, it was me, but I didn't tell you because I didn't know how mad you were going to get. He's like, how mad are you, Carl? So of course Carl attacks him and that's exactly what Boomer wants. Because then he runs to Jimmy, and he's like, it was 3 or 4 of them acting like the gang or someone was attacked him. And so of course Jimmy puts him in witness protection because Boomer is his star witness and everything. So yeah, it's exactly what Boomer wanted. He gets to keep the money, and then he can't be touched because he's under witness protection. So Beth and Ruby pick up Annie, and Annie is just like, give me the gun. And Beth was like, I gave it back. And Annie was like, oh my gosh, why would you do that? But Beth just be messing up sometimes. But she's like, Annie's like, well, give me any gun. I'll kill him with whatever gun. Stan's gun, go to Walmart, get a gun, whatever kind of gun we have to get, I will do the job. And so Annie is over there just frustrated and complaining. And I guess Beth is just like, oh my gosh, my life. she's just like, oh my gosh, my life. So she stops. She sees this stop sign, and she stops, and she just goes out and she starts beating this stop sign. She's beating it. And they're like, what is going on? Ruby and Annie were like, what is going on? Like, because they're shocked because Beth is the one that's always in so much control and everything. So they were just shocked that she had this little break and everything. So the next scene we see, Nancy goes over to Annie's place, and she's upset because she says Greg finally told her that it is someone else. So, which is messed up. Like, Greg, you couldn't wait till after she had the baby, but he finally told her there was someone else. So she's upset about that. And she goes over to Annie's place because of course she thinks Annie is her good friend. So then she and Annie are getting along. They're talking and everything, and she tells and Annie tells Nancy, well, once you see the baby, it doesn't even matter. None of that even matters. And then someone knocks on Annie's door, and she opens the door, and of course it's Greg with stuff. I'm like, Annie, why you open the door all the way? Like, you don't have a peephole or something where you could have just been like, oh, you know, I don't know. Like, why did you open the door all the way? Especially like, I don't know. So then, you know, Nancy, that's how Nancy finds out that the other woman is Annie, which is messed up that you sitting there pouring your heart out to Annie, and she's the one who is breaking your heart, you know, is helping to break your heart. Like, of course it was Greg, because, you know, she made vows with him. But girl, you be in my house. So I don't know. I was like, okay. But anyways, so Beth wakes up and she goes outside and I don't know, somebody tell me what happened. Because I'm like, okay, so she took the other stop sign so that they can have a stop sign, because not the other neighborhood doesn't have a stop sign. So she goes outside with the stop sign and she pins it up, drills it up onto her house. And then she looks and sees Rio. We're not going to ignore the fact that, like, how long was he there before you realized it? But anyways, so she looks and she sees Rio, and she walks up to him and everything, and she's just telling him she's tired. Like, she was like, I lie to my family, I lie to my friends, I lie to you, I lie to you know, I just lie all the time. I can't even keep the lie straight. She was like, I can't even keep the lie straight anymore. I just lie so much. So then Rio tells her, I felt her when she said, since you've been in my life, like, it's like having, like, the last 2 months she hadn't got any sleep. It's like having a newborn. I understood exactly what she felt when she said that, because if you've ever had to watch a newborn days in a row, weeks, months, like, if you have children, you know. If you don't have children, then you still know. If you've ever because I remember we used to keep my niece a lot, and my nephew, when my sister, after she had the children, because she was sick. And oh my gosh, that just being sleepy all the time, it's like you have a headache behind your eyes all the time because you're just so tired. And so that she was just telling him how she felt, and he pulls a gun out on her. Like, Real keeps pulling guns out on Beth, but he pulls a gun out on her, and she was like, are you gonna kill me? He was like, no, I'm gonna teach you. And that's how the scene goes off. So this episode was really good. I did like this. I like this show, period, though. But I did like this episode. I thought there were things in this episode that didn't make sense, but we're gonna roll with it. You know, they have to push this along to make the, you know, just to go ahead with the story. So we're gonna ignore that kind of stuff and just roll with it. I thought, excuse me, drinking that sparkling water. I thought that I'm glad that Ruby finally told Stan. Oh, and he ends up coming to bed. I don't know if I said that or not, but Stan does end up coming to bed with Ruby, and he finally realizes the same way you took that pin cap and everything was to protect your family is the same way she robbed that bank, because she lets him know, you know, I did that to save our daughter, to save your family and everything. And so, yeah, I was like, finally, like, let him know or whatever. So it was nice to see them. But then it's like Ruby keeps lying. So at one point I'm like, so you should have just let him stay on the couch, because he's going to be really upset when he finds out all this other stuff that, you know, that you're still into or whatever. It's like, at this point, Ruby's done, like, she's robbed and everything, but it's like Beth keeps bringing them back into the mix, because they were out of it, and she keeps bringing them back into the mix. So I'm just like, excuse me, I'm just like, at this point, I probably would go my separate way from Beth. I'd be like, listen, I can't talk to you anymore. Like, we're gonna fix this, and then that is it. But you know, they're friends to the end, so they keep doing it or whatever. I like the fact that they again that they don't overuse Rio because he is one of the fan favorites. I don't remember this much attention being brought to Rio last season, like so many, because y'all know I'm on that Facebook page. I love Good Girls, but everyone seems to really love him this season. I don't remember him having that much attention last season, but it is what it is. He is a great actor and everything. So yeah, I the chemistry between him and Beth, of course, is there. I'll try to put up the next 2 episodes the next few days in a row, because there's a show on Hulu called The Act. Have y'all watched that? I'm gonna do reviews over that. It looks pretty. I watched two of the shows. A new episode is coming on tomorrow. It's pretty good. It's about gypsy. You know, if you haven't, do your research, go you can Google Gypsy The Act, and you can look at the story, because it's a true story and it's pretty darn good. I mean, some of the stuff is, of course, they made up a few things because it's fake, but besides that, it's still, I like it. But anyways, it's late at night. This video probably won't even upload until tomorrow. It's gonna take so long, but thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, just drop them in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you tomorrow with season 2, episode 3 of Good Girls. Bye.